Good morning, one and all. A very warm welcome to the investiture ceremony of the student leaders of GEMS Legacy School for the academic year 2022-2023. I extend this warm welcome to you on behalf of the principal, the vice principal, staff, and students of GEMS Legacy School. I request all of you to be seated in silence as the student leaders march down the aisle leading our principal and CEO, Mrs. Asha Alexander, our Vice Principal, Mrs. Lata Venkateshwar, our Chief Guest, Mr. Jonathan Bramley, Vice President, Communications, GEMS Education, and Mr. Michael Gazelle, Vice President, Education, GEMS Education.
Scout! Attention! Scout! On the left! Flow march! On the left! Forward march!
It is our proud privilege to welcome our principal, Mrs. Asha Alexander, our vice principal, our chief guests, our senior leadership team, our dedicated team of teachers, students, and you, my dear parents, to this investiture ceremony.
Students are knowledgeable experts in their own lives, and today's investiture ceremony aims to recognize this fact. Empowering students aligns with the 21st century learning goals, which include enhancing creativity, entrepreneurship, and citizenship. Empowerment is important for improving democratic principles, and at its core, it's about doing with rather than doing to. This has been the essence of the election process, which has led to the investiture ceremony this morning and sums up the atmosphere in the auditorium at this moment. In the words of Mr. Bill Gates, as we look into the next century, leaders will be those who empower others. Today, together, we are taking a small step in GLS towards that futuristic direction. I now request you to kindly maintain silence as we prepare ourselves for the recitation from the Holy Quran and the Hadith.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى أرأيت إن كان على الهدى أو أمر بالتقوى أرأيت إن كذب وتولى ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى كلا لئن لم ينته لنسفعا بالناصية ناصية كاذبة خاطية بل يدع نادية سندع الزبانية كلا لا تطعه واسجد واقترب عن أنس رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من خرج في طلب العلم فهو في سبيل الله حتى يرجع رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن. Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, reported, the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, he who goes forth in search of knowledge is considered as struggling in the cause of Allah until he returns.
Before we start the investiture of our student leaders for this academic year, we are happy to celebrate the awardees of Sheikha Fatima Award for the academic years 2020-21 and 2021-2022. The prestigious Sheikha Fatima Award for Excellence was established by GEMS Education in 2005 to recognize one female student from each of its GEMS schools in UAE for their outstanding academic performance, leadership skills, and significant contribution to social, environmental, and global citizenship. I would like to invite Mr. Michael Gazelle on the stage to felicitate the awardees of GEMS Legacy School for Sheikha Fatima Award. I very proudly call upon Parvati Little, Sheikha Fatima Awardee for the academic year 2020-21. Congratulations, Parvati. I now invite Hana bint Muhammad Sunni, Sheikha Fatima Awardee for the academic year 2021-2022. Congratulations, Hana. Thank you, sir.
I would now like to invite upon stage our principal, Mrs. Asha Alexander, to administer the oath of office. I request all leaders being invested today to stand in attention for the oath.
Please address the oath.
Do you solemnly pledge to be respectful, integrous, just, communicative, and courageous leaders?
I do.
Do you solemnly pledge to promote the school ethos and spirit of servitude, empathy, resilience, and sustainability? Do you solemnly pledge to support student well-being and student staff understanding to create a whole school inclusive environment? Do you solemnly pledge to represent the interests of all students, encourage the talents of peers, and inspire active student participation in educational, social, and community-driven activities? Do you solemnly pledge to always uphold your responsibilities to the school, teachers, ancillary staff, fellow students, and the parent community? Do you solemnly pledge and promise to fulfill and discharge the duties of the office entrusted to you to the best of your ability? In the presence of God and all those gathered here, I, the Principal, Asha Alexander, invest you as the student leaders of GEMS Legacy School, Dubai, and hereby, on behalf of the school, hold you accountable to honor the oath of office taken on the 26th of April, 22, for the academic year 2022-2023.
I now request our chief guest, Mr. Jonathan Bramley, to join Mrs. Alexander on stage in investing in leadership. I would now like to invite upon the leadership committee to come on stage to receive their badges.
All group, attend. Standing. Attend. All group, left, right, jump.
To start with the investiture ceremony, we will begin with the Falcon House Sports Vice Captain, Mohammed Russell. Oryx House Sports Vice Captain, Fishad T. Falcon House Sports Captain, Shabir Hussain. Oryx House Sports Captain, Shriya Jayaraj. Falcon House Vice Captain, Abbas Ali Banwala. Oryx House Vice Captain, Mohammed Hamdan. Falcon House Captain, Ainsley Jisson. Oryx House Captain, Rimsha Fatima. Falcon House Teacher Champion, Sharon John. Oryx House Teacher Champion, Valentina Solomon Samuel. Stallion House Sports Vice Captain Ishan Siyar. Gazelle House Sports Vice Captain Mohammad Zayan. Stallion House Sports Captain Haya Velipudi. Gazelle House Sports Captain Stephanie Mariam Shaji. Stallion House Vice Captain Hanan Muhammad Ashram. Gazelle House Vice Captain Sumaya Aslam. Stallion House Captain Mohammad Aman. Gazelle House Captain Eric Jace. Stallion House Teacher Champion Ramasi. Gazelle House Teacher Champion Jamie Rubella. School Sports Vice Captain Boys Muhammad Ais. School Sports Vice Captain Girls Manjita Paulo. School Sports Captain Boys Dhairya Vipul Kumar Givaria. School Sports Captain Girls Uttara Iyer. Assistant Head Boy Aryan Sankar. Assistant Head Girl Michelle S. Dennis. Michelle is absent today, but she is instated as our Assistant Head Girl. School Head Boy Advik Shukla. School Head Girl Parvati Vijay. I request Mrs. Alexander and Mr. Bramley to join the leadership committee for the group photograph. Group photograph. Yes. Year 2017, 2017. The Student Council will now come up on stage to receive their badges. Jason GB, Student Council Member of 7E, Malika Sultana, Student Council Member of 7H.
Student Council, upright. Control. Attend. Candidate. Attend. Control. Left, right, go.
Jason GB, 7E, Malika Sultana, 7H. Marian Kabir, 6B, Ananya Gupta, 6H. Razul Sadat, 7C, Abby Sino, 7I. Mohammad Shehan, 60, Sufyan Kishore, 70. Natasha Singh, 6J, Raid Daha, 6G. Joel Maria Widow, 7G, SM Usman, 6I. Renu Jadhav, 7B, Trivikram Reddy, 6F. Isabel Sevi, 7F, Ryan Whitney, 6E. Izan Muhammad, 7A, Ishan Muhammad, 6A. Lanisha Narona, 7J, Ruxar Tahim, 6C. President of the Student Council Girls, Jia Anna Chevy. President of the Student Council Boys, Jasper Andre Futsio. I request Mrs. Alexander and Mr. Rani to please step forward for a group photograph. Congratulations to all the students for officially being invested into the Student Council. You may now take your places.
We will now proceed with the investiture of the school club leaders for the academic year 2022-2023.
School club leaders, upright. All group, attend. Candidate, attend. All group, left, right, turn.
We will begin with the school innovation team. Innovation leader, Mani Harish. Deputy school innovation leader, Mikhail Kurvela. Innovation leader, Nand Gopal. Adrian Rogers, school innovation manager. Adrian is also being invested as the editor-in-chief for the school editorial board. I now call upon the school activities team. Our coordinators for school activities, Naisha Nair, Sidra Javed. Coordinator of school activities, Joel Maria Vinod. Hana bint Muhammad Sunil, Deputy President of Activities and Events. Hana is also our Student Ambassador for GEMS Global Ambassador Society and our social media editor. Daniel Koshi Jijo, President of Activities and Events. will now move on to the school editorial board. Associate Editor Natasha Singh, Editor-in-Chief Isaac Matthew. Associate Editor Shania Pereira, Associate Editor Hamdan Saqib. Social Media Editor Uttara Iyer and Mohammad Ayan, Managing Editor. Gul Hussain, Associate Editor, and Aryan Shankar, Social Media Editor. Gul is also being invested as a member of the school eco team. Fizan Muhammad, Managing Editor, and Muhammad Jamil, Managing Editor. Editor-in-Chief Lanisha and Muhammad Rafi Hamad, Managing Editor. We will now move on to the school well-being team. Haya Fatima, School Wellbeing Ambassador. Amina Nazda, Wellbeing Champion for Grade 6. Daphne Antrona, Wellbeing Champion Grade 7. Moving on to the school health team, our health monitors, Harini Radhika and Hasini Radhika. Snigdha Prince Deputy President for Health, and Lenora Jaren, President for Health. Snigdha is also our Deputy Wellbeing Ambassador. Our health monitors, Vibha Anish and Shivani Abhilash. Mariam Fatima, our health monitor. We will now proceed with the investiture of the school eco team. Sara Abdul Manaf, eco team leader for grade 6, and Kashinath Sri Kumar, member of the ECO team. Zuhair Sarfaraz, President of the ECO team. Ananya Rajesh, ECO team leader for grade 7. Joanna Bennett, Vice President, ECO team, and Ria Chalaman, Secretary for the ECO team. Sara Chauhan, member of ECO team, and Steffi Mariam Shaji, member of ECO team. I request Mr. Asha Alexander and Mr. Jonathan to please join the group for a group photograph. Congratulations students on being officially invested. I request everyone to please join their hands for a big round of applause for our student club leaders. I now request our principal, Mrs. Asha Alexander, to address the gathering and share her words of wisdom with the young leaders.
Good morning, Mr. Jonathan Bramley, Mr. Michael Gazelle, Lata Venkateshwar, our dear parents, students, and staff. It gives me immense pleasure to be here at the secondary section for the very first investiture in the school. The growth of the school has enabled us to not only invest these students, but in a day's time, we will be investing primary school leaders for the first time. So we've given greater opportunity for more children to acquire leadership positions. Before I hand over to our guest to say a few words on leadership, I want our children who have been invested to understand this was a democratic election procedure for the very first time. And you've done me immensely proud. That is, every student in the school voted these students into office, right down to the head boy and head girl. And you have shown remarkable intelligence in having selected the very best candidates. So a big round of applause to my children. You have participated in electing your representatives, and you have exercised good judgment. Now I want to tell you, if a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king. In fact, he turns the palace into a circus. He will bring more people, more clowns, into the organization. What you have done is you've selected the very best people you think who will represent you and made them your leaders. Now, sometimes in a democracy, we don't get the person we voted for in office. But what do we do as people who are in the school? We learn to cooperate with the elected person. For me also, this is a learning experience. For the very first time, you have selected your leaders, and I'm eagerly looking forward to see how these leaders will now carry out their responsibilities in the school. This year we have increased the number of leadership positions. We have enabled student editorial board, innovation committee, well-being committee, health monitors, eco team, and a whole host of other responsibilities besides prefects and captains of houses. Now to the house mistresses and the leaders of the houses, we selected 4 animals common to Arabia: the falcon, the gazelle, the oryx, and the stallion. The falcon has the ability of impeccable timing and knowing when to strike for its benefit. And so your motto is to fly onwards and upwards and use your agility, your sharp-mindedness, and your independence to lead your team to success. We have the stallion. The stallion is imbued with power, stability, and endurance, and it combines the grounded power of the earth and the whisper of the wind while balancing wisdom and power. Now, when a stallion encounters an obstacle, it knows the right time to leap over that obstacle. So I want the Stallion House students to show how, with endurance and passion, they're going to inspire not only their teammates, but everybody in the school. So your motto is with endurance and passion. Then we have the Gazelle. It's graceful and resilient, and it explores and discovers new places, and it's eager in its anticipation of life. And it wants to embrace all that is great. The Gazelle is characterized by awareness, speed, grace, and agility, and the remarkable ability to maneuver, manifesting strength in adversity. And that's your motto, Gazelle House. You are going to show us what it is to show strength in difficult times, in adversity. And finally, we have the Oryx. It is amiable, calm, and tenacious, and it knows how to protect its own. Even though it's a bigger animal, it has majesty, and it has the ability for swift thought and action. It has been able to survive so many years because it has the survival skills, which now shows us it has the courage to change, to adapt to different and difficult terrains. So the courage to change is the motto for the Oryx House. And I don't want these mottos to be only with that particular house. I hope to see all students flying onwards and upwards, all students showing the courage to change and strength in adversity with endurance and passion. That's my hope for GEM's secondary section, that you will all lead well with your houses and your house mistresses to take the school to where it should go. Some of us have had changes in position, and I applaud you for having accepted the positions your peers elected you to. It's difficult being a head boy and head girl one year, and the next year having to take another position. But I want to tell all of you that here there's no hierarchy in positions. All positions you've invested with today are equally valuable and equally important. A leader is somebody who is able to survive the pressures that come from outside, but building your strength from the inside. Just look at the egg. If you exert pressure on the egg from the outside, it breaks and it's a big mess. But if the energy, the pressure comes from inside, new life is born. A chick will hatch out of that egg. You have the strength, and you must work together to build your inner strength to such an extent that external pressures will not make you collapse. It requires all of us to collaborate and work together. And for those who have not been invested, those who have not been elected to a position, this is an example to which you should all aspire. I want every student here to believe that they can become a leader, if not this year, an invested leader next year. Leadership is about taking action when the opportunity presents itself. A leader does not have to have a badge. It does not have to have a position. But if something is occurring and the leader is the person who steps up to find a solution, to solve a problem, and all of us can do it. Every single day, leadership moments arise on the campus, in the school classrooms, in your homes, in the cities wherein you live. Are you able to exercise a leadership action? Do you show courage? Do you show the strength to adapt, to change? Do you wait? Because you have to have patience as a leader. You also have to have empathy. And I want you to understand that in this school, the kind of leaders I wish to grow are empathetic leaders. It's easy for all of us to make decisions, to show our power, to exert our power on others, but it is far more difficult to be an empathetic leader, to put yourself in the position of the one who is doing something and to understand why they're doing what they're doing. We're not looking for us exercising authority, but us understanding and listening to our student body and trying to solve their problems as best as we can. And it gives me great happiness to see parents here. It's so very important that you're here to see your children being recognized for their leadership. I know there are several parents who are not able to come, so if your dads and moms couldn't come, we understand. We're recording this function and we'll share a YouTube video with your parents so that they can applaud and appreciate your being invested this morning. So thank you all for the intelligence you've shown in electing your leaders. I couldn't have done any better. So congratulations to the newly invested leaders, their parents, and all the students, and may God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
I now invite on stage Mr. Jonathan Bramley to address the gathering.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Principal, Mrs. Alexander, who's not only a close colleague of mine, but also, I'm proud to say, a great friend, as is our Vice President, Mr. Michael Guster, who also helps oversee this wonderful school. Ladies and gentlemen, our parents, and most importantly of all, I think, our students. Now, first of all, please let me congratulate our new prefects and school leaders on the great honor and also responsibility that you've been given today by this wonderful school. Since I've been given my own special honor of addressing you this morning as your special guest, I've been thinking very hard over the last few days of what advice to give you all. And I must confess now that I do not come at this task with any particular position of insight or expertise, and my own school took a quick look at me when I was your age, and this was a time when the dinosaurs still roamed the earth, and decided very swiftly that a prefect's badge or school leader's badge did not belong on my school uniform. I guess a recent escapade at the time when I joined a small party of boys who decided that summer that it would be a fine idea to toss a couple of our schoolmates fully clothed into a nearby lake did not particularly count well in my favor. neither did being caught in a nearby hostelry sipping a small shandy. That didn't help either. No, I was clearly not leadership material at that time, at that stage of my life. But nevertheless, I can still remember the pang of disappointment that I felt when my name was not called out to join the elected, chosen few on the stage as the newly appointed leaders. And it took another 10 years or so before I was finally given a role as an adult that could be loosely described as leadership. And I'm happy to admit here and now that I made a king-size mess up of it in the early years. I know there are born leaders out there, those lucky people who only have to say the words for their peers to answer to their beck and call. But I'm certainly not one of those. For me, leadership was a long and often painful journey of trial and error, lots of errors, before I emerged at the other end as even remotely fit to lead others. By the way, don't fall into the trap of thinking you've ever got leadership nailed. I've been leading teams now for 3 decades, and I still stuff things up on a pretty regular basis. And in those instances, I just smile and hope nobody's really noticed. So after all this time, what advice would I give you? Well, for starters, I would urge you to carry on being yourself. After all, your personality and individual characteristics have already marked you out as school leaders. So a marked change in your approach would only signal that local stardom has gone to your head. And believe me, nobody likes a swell head. When you're put in a position of authority, it's very easy to assume that you've overnight become infallible and have mounted a position of superiority from where you can criticize your schoolmates for every misdemeanor or perceived failing. For goodness sake, don't do that. There's 1,000 miles of difference between advice and guidance and criticism. And generally, to achieve anything in life, whether it's running successful schools or business departments, you need a team firmly behind you. Sure, people will make errors and mistakes, but try to understand first why before jumping in with your own conclusions. And that means 2 things: listening and putting yourself in the shoes of others. I remember early in my career as a leader, I roundly and publicly admonished a more junior colleague who was regularly late for work. And a talented colleague soon afterwards offered us his resignation, which was accepted. And it was only later that we learned that he was visiting his sick father on his way to the office, a journey which took him well out of his way to work. The best leaders then generally are also great listeners, and that means avoiding the temptation to say your piece before allowing your companion to finish theirs. And also, great leaders tend to treat everyone with respect. Now, apart from being generally great practice, and frankly the right thing to do, treating everybody equally and respectfully can be good for your future school career and your adult career, as well as for your well-being. A case in point from my own personal experience, 6 years ago, I was in need of a new job, and the usual routes seemed to have dried up. Then out of the blue, a man who I'd last worked with about a decade before recommended me for a wonderful role here in Dubai at Expo 2020 Dubai, thousands of miles away from where I was then working in Europe. Why? Because he had once worked together with me on a project. And very kindly, he remembered me as someone who generally had listened to him with respect and helped him create his own department. He had since prospered in his career, overtaking me, but he remembered me during my own hour of need. And other pieces of advice that have served me well? Well, I like leaders who can lead from the front, not asking anyone to do anything that they cannot do themselves. And I like leaders who can laugh at themselves easily. In fact, a sense of humour is a key characteristic in my view, because take my word for it, you'll need it if you want to become a great leader. I always think a team that is laughing as well as working together can generally achieve more than one that approaches everything as life or death. Finally, above all, that remember that the leader is but one member of a team, as Mrs. Alexander and I alluded to before. No leader ever really achieved anything on their own. They always need wonderful support behind them. So please bear that in mind before becoming tempted to take all the credit for a successful project or initiative. A leader too generally has someone above them issuing orders, and it's always advisable to follow orders from the top as well as you can. My orders today from Madam Principal Asher is to speak for no more than 5 minutes. So I better conclude right now by thanking you all once again for your time and attention this morning, and wishing you every bit of luck in your new roles in leadership. The world certainly needs great leaders right now. So please make sure you do it to the best of your abilities. Nobody can ask more of you than that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing those wise words, Mr. Jonathan. I would now like to call upon stage Mr. Michael Gazelle.
Good morning, everybody. I requested Mrs. Alexander to excuse me from speaking because she gave you a marvelous speech and then Jonathan followed it up even better. But I need to say my part, so here I am. First of all, congratulations, pupils, parents, and teachers, and of course, Mrs. Alexander. I'm sure the voting process has gone well, and we have the best leaders in this school. So our chief guest told you a story. Let me try another small story, all right? So it was our investiture ceremony when I was in school. I went to school, all right? It was our investiture ceremony, and those days, they wouldn't announce in advance who the prefects were. So we were all told, dress up smartly and come to school. So I had a bath every day, but I had a better bath that day, ironed my clothes, went to school. 10 prefects had to be appointed, and they started first, second, and I said, I'm a prefect. Now, I was not brilliant in studies, I was very average, played a little games. I was not a Kohli or a Ronaldo or Maradona or anything like that. I was okay. Did a little speaking and a little writing and a little debating. So I was a very average pupil. But I felt I would become a prefect. And 8, 9, and the 10th name, I said, that's me. Settling my coat, it wasn't. And in a boys' school, people start digging you, you're next, you're next, you're next. And then they started the house captains. I was in red house. Unfortunately, they started with blue house captain, so-and-so, then yellow, and then green, and then they came to red. And I was confident it was me. It wasn't. And then I said to myself, maybe God's answered all my prayers. I am the wise head boy. And I was sure that I was the wise head boy of the school. There were 2. And principals, how they tease you, and announcers, how they tease you. Our first wise head boy is. Any guesses? And everybody started shouting, and Maybe I shouted my own name. But two vice head boys, it wasn't me. And then I said, have all my dreams come true? All these years of praying, I am the head boy of the school. And as usual, they said the principal will announce the head boy's name. Settled my court. You know, some boys again digging me at you, others digging each other, everybody teasing each other. The head boy for the school is, again, any guesses? Nobody shouted my name, but in my heart of hearts I said, it has to be me. And the head boy for the school is, and to some, I think a boy by the name of Joshi. And I was cringing within and said, why not me? Wasn't I worthy? Am I a loser? And I think after that incident, I must have sat down and thought about it. And over the years, every time I got a job, I tried to do it well and better than I had done it the day before. And after some years, I became a teacher, and then a headmaster, and then a principal, and here I am today. So the first message, if you haven't been made a prefect or a leader today, watch me. Sometimes the voting goes wrong. Sometimes the voting goes wrong, so don't worry. But for those of you who have become leaders, a short message. What is leadership? Is it the badge, the tie, the position? I'm asking the parents as well, so many leaders among you, bosses in your office. Is it shouting at people and getting the job done? Is it terminating people from their job? Is it taking it casual because you've got so many people working under you? Is it coming late to office or to school? Is it getting up late in the morning and telling your mother and father, I'm a prefect, nobody's going to say anything to me? I know some parents may be wondering, oh my God, my naughty son, and they made him a prefect. Or my daughter, come home and let me tell you. You see, you got your badge. I'm going to tell Mrs. Alexander how you don't get up in the morning and trouble to have your breakfast. Leadership starts with responsibility. You need to be responsible, hardworking, God-fearing, supportive leaders. And that's what you need to promise yourself this morning. Leadership is not about taking it easy. At the same time, it's not complicated. I keep leadership very, very simple. As Jonathan said, leadership is about having fun. Now, that doesn't mean you're a clown. All right, you're not a clown. But have fun, smile, be happy, be kind. As Mr. Alexander said, empathy. Be empathetic, help others. That's leadership. I wish you all the very best today. Congratulations. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gazelle. I now request the newly invested head boy, Advik Shukla, and our newly invested head girl, Parvati Legit, to come on stage to present the vote of thanks.
Good morning to one and all present here. Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Jonathan Bramley, Mr. Michael Gazelle, and Ms. Asha Alexander, and of course our dear parents who has honored this function with their presence and motivated us towards achieving our leadership goals. We can assure you that we can carry out all our tasks to the best of our abilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear teachers, students, admin and ancillary staff, and not to forget Mr. Rajiv for making this investiture ceremony a grand success. We truly acknowledge the contribution and effort.
Thank you so much, Parvati and Advik. Can I now request everyone to please stand up for the school song?